Before we begin, this video contains a frank discussion of suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling, please pause here and call or text the Suicide in Crisis Lifeline at 988. Help is available. If you spend enough time online, you've probably heard the ghost stories about AOKIGAHARA. Pop culture and horror movies have painted it as a dark, haunted woodland at the base of Mount Fuji, a place where lost souls go and never return. But the origins of the forest lie in geology, not the supernatural. In the year 864, Mount Fuji experienced a massive 6-month eruption. A tangled woodland eventually grew on top of the hardened lava field. Today, AOKIGAHARA is actually a popular scenic hiking destination in Japan's Yamanashi Prefecture. Visitors go there for the fresh air, to explore deep ice caves, and to take in sweeping views of the snow-capped volcano. So how did a serene natural marvel become universally known as the suicide forest? To understand that, we have to peel back 1,000 years of accumulated mythology. The forest's association with death starts centuries ago with ascetic Buddhist monks. These monks would retreat deep into the woods to practice extreme forms of self-denial and meditation. Their ultimate goal was to transform their bodies, while still alive, into a type of mummy called a sokushinbutsu. They would subsist on nothing but leaves and bark until they starved. This early connection to death was a highly disciplined, sacred ritual, completely separate from depression. It also helps to understand that Japan's historical relationship with suicide differs widely from the West. Because Japan lacks a Judeo-Christian religious stigma around the act, certain forms of self-sacrifice were historically viewed through a lens of duty. We see this in the centuries-old practice of Stoic samurai performing ritual seppuku to preserve their honor. We also see it in the World War II kamikaze pilots who crashed their planes into enemy ships. Western media often hyper-fixates on these specific historical examples, skewing our perception of how modern Japan views the issue. Today, Japanese society does not view the lives lost in AOKIGAHARA as a sacred ritual or an act of honor. They view it as a profound public tragedy. The modern reputation of the forest was heavily manufactured by pop culture. In 1960, Japanese author Seicho Matsumoto published a popular novel called Tower of Waves, where a heartbroken character walks into AOKIGAHARA to end her life. That romanticized fiction was turned into a deadly roadmap in 1993. A highly controversial book called The Complete Suicide Manual was published, explicitly detailing how to disappear into AOKIGAHARA so no one would ever find you. Sensational books alone don't cause a crisis. In the late 1990s, Japan experienced a severe nationwide economic crash, causing widespread financial ruin and employment stress. This line chart shows how closely the suicide rate tracked with that economic suffering. The numbers climbed sharply through the late 90s, peaking at over 34,000 deaths in the year 2003. The perceived curse of AOKIGAHARA grew from a tangible collision of deep financial distress and a romanticized, highly publicized media narrative. To combat this, local officials in the Yamanashi Prefecture have shifted their focus to public health. They've installed security cameras throughout the dense, moss-covered trails and trained employees and volunteers to spot the signs of troubled visitors. At the entrances to the park, prominent signs now directly address those who are struggling. They remind visitors of their worth to their families and provide immediate phone numbers for a crisis helpline. The scope of this public health crisis extends well beyond Japan. Looking at this bar chart comparing U.S. statistics, the American suicide rate surged 33% between 1999 and 2019, culminating in more than 47,500 deaths in a single year. And as the graphic morphs into a pie chart showing the breakdown of those victims, notice that over half of them had no known diagnosed mental health condition. Instead, their decisions were heavily driven by external stressors like relationship problems, substance abuse, and money woes. For those who do suffer from psychiatric illness, the lingering societal stigma around getting help often keeps them from seeking life-saving treatment. Reversing this trend falls largely on public health agencies, but the CDC stresses that prevention requires a comprehensive community approach. Ordinary people have a role to play. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline recommends 5 actionable steps anyone can take if they notice someone exhibiting warning signs. Ask them directly if they are thinking about suicide. Be there for them. Keep them safe. Help them connect with professionals and follow up. Isolation, rather than any local legend or haunted woodland, remains the true danger. Communities can guide people out of the dark by stripping away sensational myths and having open, brave conversations. If you need help, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available 24/7. Just dial 988.